The hospital receptionist smiled and said, "Congratulations, Dad." I froze, because we hadn't tried for a baby. Then she slid the file across the counter and pointed at one line, "Father, Lorenzo Richi." My name. My future. My life, being rewritten on paper, for a child that wasn't mine. And the worst part? My wife wasn't just cheating. She was setting a legal trap. My name is Lorenzo Richi, and this is how it started. That night, the rain tapped softly against the windows, the kind of sound that normally made our kitchen feel like a refuge. But not that night. That night the air felt heavy, almost contaminated, like something invisible had snapped, and I couldn't name the exact moment it happened. I was stirring pasta sauce, trying not to focus on the silence behind me. Valentina stood by the sink, stiff, arms crossed, staring into nothing. To anyone else it might have looked normal, but I knew her too well to ignore that posture. "Valentina," I said quietly, stepping closer and touching her arm gently. "You've been quiet all day. Are you okay?" She didn't look at me. She barely muttered, "My stomach hurts." That was it. No explanation. No eye contact. Just a dry sentence, like I was some stranger bothering her. I stepped back, confused. "Okay, if it's serious, we should." "I told you I'm fine," she cut in, sharper, still staring at the sink. I nodded and gave her space. But after a few seconds, I tried again. "You've been distant all week. If something is going on, we need to talk about it. I'm not trying to pressure you, She spun around so fast the towel on her shoulder fell to the floor. "Lorenzo, not everything is about you. Drop it." It hit like a slap. "Where is this coming from?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Maybe I'm tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not," she snapped. "I can't even breathe in this house without you interrogating me." "Interrogating?" I took a step closer. "I asked if you were okay." "That's not an interrogation. That's what a husband does." "Save the perfect husband speech," she scoffed. "What do you want, me to smile, cook, sit in front of you and pretend you don't suffocate me?" My jaw tightened. "So now I suffocate you because I care about you?" She laughed bitterly. "Because you control everything, even how I'm supposed to feel." That one landed deeper than I wanted to admit. I stood there, heart pounding, listening to my wife repeat words that sounded rehearsed, like she'd been waiting for the perfect moment to unload them. "Valentina," I said quietly, "if you need space, take it. But don't rewrite our history just to justify pushing me away." "I'm not pushing you away," she whispered coldly. "You just don't fit the version of life I want now." After that, the house went silent. Only rain on glass, and my breathing. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just nodded, like I finally accepted something I'd been refusing to see. That night I slept on the couch. Not because she asked me to, but because I couldn't lie next to someone who looked at me like that. We'd been married 7 years. Halfway through the mortgage. 2 cars in the driveway. Saturday dinners with friends. She worked in marketing downtown. I taught biology at a high school. We weren't flashy, but we were stable, or at least that's what I believed. But that moment in the kitchen, her cold stare, her sharp words, was the first time I felt something fundamental crack. And I had no idea how deep that crack was about to go. The next morning, sunlight slipped through the blinds like nothing had happened. I was already awake, dressed, standing by the bed. Valentina lay under the sheets, back turned to me. She hadn't checked on me. She hadn't even asked if I ate. "Morning," I said, forcing normal. "I called Dr. Romano's office. They can see you tomorrow at 9. No response. "I just want to make sure you're okay," I added. "You said your stomach hurt." She sat up like I'd committed a crime. "What did you do?" "I made an appointment, just a precaution." Her eyes narrowed. "Who told you to do that?" "Nobody. You said you weren't feeling well, so I did the normal thing. I called the doctor." She crossed her arms. "You're unbelievable. You think because I said my stomach hurts, you have the right to organize my entire life?" "It's just a checkup," I said. "You don't have to go if you don't want." "How generous," she said, dripping sarcasm. But the real reason is you don't trust me. That's what this is about. No, what? No. Yes, she snapped. You're trying to control me, Lorenzo. If I don't act how you expect, you feel entitled to manage me like I'm a project. I raised my hands. You said you were sick. I was trying to help. She started slamming drawers. You've always been like this, quiet, kind, reasonable, but underneath you're watching me. Monitoring me. Waiting to catch me. I lowered my voice. Is there something you're hiding? She froze. Then her face twisted, disgust and panic at the same time. Incredible, she said. Now you think I'm lying. She threw a pillow across the room. I can't breathe in this house. I'm not stopping you from breathing, I said softly. I asked if you wanted to see a doctor. She pointed at me, finger trembling. No, you scheduled the appointment. You didn't ask me. That's the difference. I took a breath. You're right. I didn't ask. Maybe I should have. But I didn't think I needed permission when you said you were sick. She stormed into the bathroom and slammed the door. I stood there alone, staring at the wood grain like it could give me answers. Just days ago we were on the couch watching her favorite cooking show. She was curled into my side, laughing like everything was fine. Now she was calling me controlling, over a medical appointment. And that's when something colder formed inside me. Not rage. Doubt. 3 days passed. Valentina didn't reschedule the appointment, and I stopped bringing it up. By Friday, we were both pretending nothing happened, like our marriage wasn't quietly bleeding out. That evening, our closest friends, Camila and Matteo, invited us over for a small backyard get-together. Nothing fancy. Burgers on the grill, a fire pit, drinks, laughter, a distraction. Valentina got dressed with unusual care. She wore a blue dress I hadn't seen in months. Her hair down, soft lip gloss, that effort that didn't feel meant for me. She looked beautiful. Just, not for me. We arrived around 6. Camila hugged us both. Matteo slapped my back like everything was normal. But the moment we stepped into the patio, Valentina changed. I saw it in the smile, too bright, too polished. Lorenzo, go grab something to drink, she said, already drifting away from me. I poured a drink and talked to Camila, but my eyes kept tracking Valentina. She was standing too close to Matteo. Leaning in. Laughing too easily. Her hand brushed his arm. Not long. Not dramatic. But not accidental either. I walked over and gently put an arm around Valentina's shoulders. She tensed, just for a second, then stepped forward enough that my arm hung in the air. Matteo didn't say anything, but his eyes flicked from her to me, then down again. Camila went inside to grab more wine. That left the three of us standing there. I looked straight at Matteo. Long week? I asked. Always, he said, not meeting my eyes. Valentina moved a little closer to him, just enough that I could feel it. The rest of the night blurred into smoke from the fire, wine, background laughter. But every time I looked around, Valentina wasn't with me. She was near Matteo. Laughing at his stories. Touching her hair the way she used to when she wanted my attention. At one point, while Camila was handing out drinks, I caught Valentina staring at Matteo. It wasn't casual. It was sustained. Charged. Matteo held the gaze for a second, then looked away like they both wanted to pretend nothing was happening. I didn't confront her. I smiled. I handed her a drink. I acted normal. But inside, I catalogued everything, every look, every distance, every gesture. On the drive home, Valentina hummed softly while scrolling on her phone. She didn't look at me once. And I didn't speak, because something in me had shifted. Quietly. Decisively. The following Tuesday, I met with a man named Giovanni, a quiet private investigator with an office above a laundromat downtown. The sign on his door was crooked. The carpet smelled old. The coffee tasted burned. But he did his job. Tell me exactly what you want, he said, tapping a worn notebook with his pen. I hesitated. I think my wife is hiding something, I admitted. And I don't think it's just an affair. Giovanni didn't react. Name? Matteo. Matteo Ricci. He's married. He's close to us. Giovanni nodded and wrote it down. No problem. I'll keep it clean. Photos. Timestamps. If I can, audio. Nothing illegal. Nothing dirty. Just the truth. The truth. That's all I wanted. 1 week later, I walked back into that little office. Giovanni didn't waste time. He turned his laptop toward me. Listen to this. Static, wind, traffic. Then Valentina's voice, I'm late. I bought 3 tests, Matteo. All positive. My body went still. Then Matteo's voice, low, tense, are you sure they're reliable? Valentina swallowed. I'm sitting in a hospital parking lot with an ultrasound in my bag. Yes. I'm sure. Matteo muttered a curse. Silence. Cars passing. A distant cough. Then Valentina again, shaking, I don't know what to do. Matteo. Lorenzo knows. She cut herself off, quick, panicked. No. He doesn't. And he won't. Not yet. Giovanni paused the audio and watched me carefully. There's more, he said. She told him she was going to register you as the father, Giovanni continued. It's easier for insurance, hospital records, reputation. I closed my eyes. This wasn't just cheating. This was strategy. A calculated decision, cold and deliberate. Giovanni slid a folder across the desk. Photos, Valentina and Matteo leaning against a car in the hospital parking lot. Her hand on her stomach. Matteo pale, jaw tight. Are you okay? Giovanni asked. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I said. Because now I finally see it clearly. And in that moment, I stopped asking why she did it, and started planning how it would end. The hospital smelled like disinfectant, and silent lies. I walked through the automatic doors just after 9 a.m., hands in my pockets, pulse steady. No anger. No shaking. Just purpose. At the front desk, a young receptionist looked up and smiled professionally. How can I help you? I'm here for my wife, I said calmly. Valentina Ricci. She had some tests done recently. She typed for a moment, then paused. She has a family member listed. I'm her husband, I replied. Lorenzo Ricci. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. I just need to confirm your identity. I slid my ID across the counter. She checked it. Looked at the screen. Looked back at me. You're listed as the father, she said quietly. There it was. Printed. Official. Final. Yes, I said evenly. That's correct. She nodded, still unsure, and disappeared down the hallway. I watched a janitor push a mop across the floor like the world hadn't just tilted off its axis. A few minutes later, she returned with a thin folder. This is everything I'm allowed to release under your name, she said. Thank you. A doctor joined us, mid-40s, calm eyes, practiced smile. Mr. Ricci, he said, extending his hand. Congratulations. I shook it. Thank you. The words felt foreign. It's early, he continued, but everything looks stable. We'll schedule the next appointment soon. Of course. Try to be present, he added kindly. These first weeks can be overwhelming. I will, I said. And technically, it was true. The nurse turned the folder toward me. You can review it here if you'd like. I opened it slowly. Forms. Notes. Emergency contacts. And then, there it was in black ink, no ambiguity, Father, Lorenzo Ricci. Not Matteo. Me. My name. My identity. My future, rewritten without my consent. I closed the folder carefully, like it might bite. I appreciate your help, I told the nurse. She smiled, relieved. Take care of your family, the doctor said. I will. I turned and walked down the hallway. Each step echoed like the building itself was listening. I didn't feel rage. I felt precision. A trap had been built, and I had just walked through it without getting caught. That night, our bedroom looked like a magazine spread. Soft lighting. Warm shadows. Lavender candles on the dresser. Valentina stood near the bed wearing a wine-colored silk dress I hadn't seen in years. She smiled gently. "Hey." I stayed in the doorway, loosening my cuffs. "Hey." She adjusted a candle like it mattered. "You were quiet at dinner. Long day." She nodded, accepting the answer. "I thought maybe tonight could be us." Her voice was low. Sweet. Rehearsed. She stepped closer, wearing the perfume she only used on anniversaries, the one that used to stop me mid-sentence. "You look nice," I said neutrally. Her fingers touched my chest, sliding toward my collar. "I was hoping you'd say that." I met her eyes. Soft. Calculating. She leaned in, lips brushing my jaw. "It's been a while." I stepped back, just enough to create distance. "I'm tired." For a second, she didn't understand. Then she blinked. "From work?" I nodded. "Among other things." She crossed her arms. "You've been distant." I didn't answer. I set my watch on the dresser. The soft click sounded loud in the room. She tried again. "I miss you, Lorenzo." "Don't you miss me?" "You miss the version of me who didn't ask questions," I said calmly. She laughed once, short and unsure. "What does that mean?" I didn't answer. She sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress creaked. "I'm trying," she said. I lit candles. "I'm here. What more do you want?" I looked at her for a long moment. What did I want? Honesty. That was gone. Answers. I already had them. I didn't need a confrontation. Or a dramatic speech. I wanted something far more uncomfortable. I wanted her alone with the consequences of her choices, no filters, no perfume, no soft lighting to hide behind. "I'm not asking you to try," I said quietly. "Not tonight. Not now." Her shoulders dropped slightly. It was subtle, but real. For the first time, her confidence cracked. "So, you're rejecting me?" she asked, half offended, half afraid. "I'm not rejecting you," I replied softly. "I'm just done trying to understand something that was never honest." She looked away. And there it was. Not anger. Not manipulation. Uncertainty. The woman who'd worn betrayal like a second skin, suddenly didn't know where she stood. She stood up slowly. "I thought we could reset. Go back to how things were." I tilted my head. "When exactly do you think things changed?" She stared at the candle flame like it might answer for her. I turned toward the bathroom. "Good night, Valentina." I left the room without looking back. At 4:58 a.m., I felt her body press against mine. I hadn't slept. Her hand slid over my chest. Her lips brushed my neck, careful, deliberate. "I miss you," she whispered. The words landed like a lie spoken in church. I didn't respond. She kissed my shoulder again. "We could start over. Just us." I sat up, put my feet on the cold floor, and pulled on a sweatshirt. "Where are you going?" she asked quietly. I didn't answer. I walked to the kitchen. Eggs. Butter. Bread. I cracked the eggs into the pan. The sizzle cut through the tension like a blade. Behind me, her voice softened. "You're just pulling away." "I'm making breakfast," I said, not turning around. "For who?" she asked. I flipped the eggs calmly. "Are you hungry?" She blinked. "Are you serious?" I turned to face her. She stood there, hair messy, silk robe wrinkled, lipstick still shining from a fantasy she was trying to rebuild. "Don't do this," she said. "You're acting like none of this matters." "You kissed my neck," I replied evenly. "That's not fixing anything." She shook her head. "Why are you treating me like the enemy?" I stopped pretending you weren't. That hit her. I saw it in her eyes. She leaned against the counter, shoulders tight. So this is it. You won't talk. You'll just make eggs and give me riddles. I slid a plate toward her. Some things don't need words anymore. That doesn't mean anything. It does to me. She stared at me like she was trying to recognize someone new. Do you think you know everything now? She asked. I stopped convincing myself that I didn't. She opened her mouth, then closed it. The toaster popped. I buttered the toast and sat down. She didn't move. Didn't eat. The morning light hit her eyes like a truth she wasn't ready for. Her plan wasn't unraveling. It had already collapsed. By noon, the sky had turned gray. That kind of gray that feels like a pause before something final. I parked outside the law office, turned off the engine, and sat there for a few seconds with my fingers tapping the steering wheel. I wasn't there to burn bridges. I was there to build an exit. The building was brick and glass, serious, restrained. Inside, the walls were lined with law books that looked like they'd witnessed hundreds of marriages collapse quietly. The receptionist gave me a polite, tired smile. Mr. Richi? Yes. Attorney Bianchi will see you now. His office was clean. Orderly. Glass panels, dark wood desk, 2 chairs. Alessandro Bianchi stood when I entered. Mid-50s. Silver hair. Eyes that had seen every version of betrayal. What do you have for me? He asked. I placed the folder on his desk. Printed transcripts. Audio timestamps. Photos of Valentina and Matteo in the hospital parking lot. Medical forms listing me as the father. A labeled USB drive. Evidence. Clean. Precise. Undeniable. Bianchi reviewed everything in silence. When he finished, he leaned back. This is airtight, he said. You'll win everything. Assets. Legal separation. No parental responsibility. I don't want to drag her through the mud, I replied calmly. I just want this closed. He tilted his head. You understand what she tried to do. She tried to legally force you into fatherhood. 18 years of obligation. I know. You were smart to come early, he said. Before this became irreversible. I came as soon as I stopped lying to myself. He nodded once. I'll start today. Quiet. Precise. Discreet, I added. He smiled thinly. That's easy when the truth is on your side. When I left, the air felt lighter. Not victorious. Stable. That evening, we went to Camila and Matteo's house. String lights. Music. Drinks. Laughter. The illusion of peace. Valentina was dressed too carefully for a casual gathering. Pink dress. Gold necklace. Hair curled just right. Her eyes sparkled with something dangerous. Then it happened. She raised her glass. I just want to share something, she said sweetly. After months of silence, it's time. She looked at me. We're having a baby. Applause erupted. Cheers. Smiles. Congratulations. Camila gasped with joy. Matteo froze. His face drained of color like someone had pulled the plug. Valentina turned to me, glowing. Tell them, love. I stood up slowly. Raised my glass. They should congratulate Matteo, I said calmly. Silence slammed into the yard. No laughter. No movement. Camila blinked. Wait, what? Valentina's smile shattered. The baby isn't mine, I continued. It's his. Matteo stared at the ground. Camila turned to him. Matteo. Valentina lunged forward. He's lying. I lifted the USB drive. Hospital parking lot. Your voices. Your plan. Matteo finally spoke, voice breaking. Valentina, Camila looked like she was going to be sick. Congratulations, I said, finishing the toast. Hope you're ready to be a father. I walked away without waiting for the fallout. I didn't need to watch the silence destroy them. The courtroom smelled like paper and polish. Procedural. Cold. Valentina sat across the aisle in a gray suit designed to look modest. Her lawyer spoke first. She was emotionally isolated. Afraid. There was no malice. She falsified medical records, I said evenly. That's not fear, my attorney added. That's fraud. The judge turned to Valentina. Do you dispute the evidence? She swallowed. No, Your Honor. That was it. The ruling was swift. I was not the legal father. No financial responsibility. All shared property remained mine. Immediate legal separation. Matteo was named the biological and legal father. Closure. Not revenge. Closure. Weeks later, Camila came to my door. How didn't you break? She asked softly. I did, I replied. Just quietly. She nodded. Some betrayals don't destroy you. They rebuild you. When she left, I stood in the silence. Not empty. Free. That was the end of my story. Not because I won. But because I walked away whole.